Good afternoon. Lovely. We're going to talk about the zero migration path from data to enterprise agentic AI. Okay? It's a provocative title, but hopefully the conversation will live up to the hype. A quick word about Trianz. We are an AWS ISV partner. We work with AWS in multiple disciplines. We bring a completely different approach and a model to help our customers transform, and we call that as services as software. We're going to talk very quickly about what our approach is and what our capabilities are, and then dive into this concept of zero migration data to agentic AI. We lead with a massive platform called Concierto. Concierto has 5 big transformative solutions in it. Number 1 is modernization. Modernization of infrastructure, of data and applications all at the same time. Okay? Number 2 is migrate. Concierto can assess, map out dependencies, create waves, all of that stuff, and move all the 3 layers at the same time to any of the 3 clouds and between the clouds. Okay. Number 3, Concierto allows you to manage all of these environments from a single pane of glass with a single abstracted process. Number 4 is maximize. We use the word maximize instead of observability because what Concierto does is it looks at consumption patterns, capacity, events, and all of that stuff, and uses AI and ML to remediate the use of these anomalies so that you're able to optimize how you're using the cloud. And then the last piece is insights and agentic AI, which is what we're going to dive into. Concierto is hosted on AWS. We have over 60, 70 customers in the last 5 months alone who have adopted this, not to mention a number of customers worldwide who are using the platform through Concierto partners. Before we talk about this concept of data to agentic AI, a quick word about our experience in all things data. And I'm double-clicking here specifically on federated data and connecting with a federated model. Okay? We've done a lot of work in this space, but what is relevant here is about 4 to 5 years ago, we were the first company to connect the AWS cloud with data sources anywhere on the planet. AWS subsequently acquired the software from us, and we ended up becoming a very close strategic partner, and we do a lot of engineering services for AWS as well. So this is the foundation on which we're going to be talking about this concept of data to agentic AI without migrations. Yesterday, AWS released about a dozen connectors to third-party ISVs from the AWS cloud. Concierto and Trianz is the company that built those connectors. And we're going to keep doing that over the course of the next several years until we are able to create or co-create or help in the design and the build-out of agentic cloud. Okay? So we're also working with AWS in connecting the different layers of the cloud itself. Okay? So that is the experience and perspective that we bring to the table. So let's dive into our subject today. There are 2 really, really big existential questions that everybody in the board is asking, and if you're anywhere in the data landscape, there is no hiding from these 2 questions. Question number 1, how much time do we have to get ahead of AI? It's not about getting to AI, because everybody else in your industry is doing the same. And therefore, you have to put yourself in a position where you're innovating and coming up with ideas that are ahead of the industry. And you can only do that when the foundation that you require to reinvent the business using AI is laid. Okay? Number 2 is how much time do we have to get there? Okay? So when we look at the way data platforms are created today, data platforms are modernized, purchased, deployed, whatever be the model. Okay? For a large company, a large enterprise, it takes a minimum of 18 to 24 months to get there. Now, Until several years ago, this approach was fine because we all had time. Now what's happening around the world, thanks to the innovators and the leaders in any industry, is that the change cycle, the time in which transformation of an entire industry takes place, or at least in the big spots, okay? It's now less than 11 months. No matter what industry you are in, something big is changing within 11, 12 months at most. And so therefore, business in reality is living on borrowed time. So why take an approach that is expensive, doesn't guarantee an outcome, and is most likely going to be obsolete by the time it is done, right? The other thing that we have to keep in mind is fundamentally your data is screaming and saying, I don't want to move, or a large chunk of your data, okay? And why is that, okay? Because there are compliance issues due to which you have to keep some data on-prem. You have stuff sitting on SaaS. You make an acquisition. You sell a business. There are 15 different things above data, technically speaking, that are always changing, okay? We may have a majority of our data on one cloud, which is fine, okay? But the goal is not to move the data itself. The goal is to make use of the data wherever it is. And what is going to happen, I'm sure we all read the same news. Everybody is immersed these days in understanding AI and its effects and so on and so forth. But what I'd like to suggest is that ultimately the outcome is going to be binary. There are those that will succeed, and there are those that will fail. The old way of looking at the middle of the ground, the middle of the pack, I don't think that middle of the pack paradigm is going to survive for a long time, okay? Those who get it right, obviously, those who don't get it right will see a very, very troublesome, painful pattern in front of them, okay? Slow obsolescence, customers walking away, revenues going up and down and so on. And you'll come to a point where you cannot reverse the trend. We have seen enough examples in, let's say, the entertainment industry. We have seen that in real estate. We have seen that in retail. We have seen that in fashion. And it is going to happen pretty much in every single industry as we move forward. But on the other hand, those who get it right, okay, they're going to start seeing revenue spikes. Because these customers who are going to leave the companies that are obsolete still need the services, they still need the product. So they're going to move to those companies that appeal to them and that give them a better value and what they're looking for. So what we did specifically in this space is we tore up our playbook and we said we're going to look at everything from a clean sheet. And what we set out to do is to change the paradigm and build a very, very different approach to get from data to insights as fast as possible, okay, as quickly as possible. Number two is make it really, really simple for the business to be able to use. And number three is make it scalable across the company, okay? In order for us to do this, we examined 6 fundamental questions that keep data leaders awake all the time, okay? How do we enable AI on our existing assets without moving them, okay? How do we productize data and look at data in small pieces as opposed to running expensive, time-consuming queries and so on and so forth? How do we break the bottleneck of, business to IT? I need something today. And the data guy says, I have a 6 weeks SLA to deliver that, right? Business doesn't have time anymore. How do we break that, okay? How do we achieve governance in large enterprises without the bureaucracy that goes along with it and the time that we lose, okay? And number 5 is, how do we get people in the data universe? Your architects, your data scientists, your governance folks, your security folks, they all need to be able to look at the same picture. And then finally, how can we do this as fast as possible? So we artificially put a stake in the ground and said, we should be able to do this in 90 days. And here is how we solve problems. Number 1 is we connected with data, structured and unstructured in real time, using a federated concept, okay? We can connect with data pretty much anywhere on the planet, and if we can't, we'll be able to build it in 4 to 6 weeks, okay? Number two is we productize data based on how it is used, not based on how it is stored. Okay? Really, really fast using AI. By your business domains, by your data domains. Number three, the entire platform is built on zero code. So nobody has to type any queries and do a lot of technical stuff in order to get to the results. Number four is we use governance that companies have built over decades at source. And we enhance those governance rules as opposed to lifting and shifting all of the data and then rewriting and rebuilding the stuff, okay? Number five is that we assess everything in one shot. In about 4 to 5 weeks, we are able to get everybody from data teams, including your business, on the same page as to where we are and where we are going and what does it really take for us at the applications level, at the data level and infrastructure level to be ready, okay, for agentic AI, okay? And yes, we have been able to break the 90-day barrier, okay? So I'll now leave you with some concepts, some visuals, so that you can understand what this Concierto Insights and Agentic AI platform is about, okay? Number one is federated data connectivity. No matter where your data is, on-prem, on cloud, on SaaS, wherever it is, we are able to connect to it instantly. Number two is we are able to productize data and catalog it. Number three, we publish the data in a marketplace that is very similar to Amazon Prime Video or Netflix. Take your pick, okay? So it's very intuitive for business users to be able to see data just like you see movie titles by genre, okay? Sales finance, sales compensation, sales ops, and so on and so forth, okay? So we organize data very, very intuitively. And number four is we have native Gen BI, native conversational AI, but you can also integrate with tools that you may have invested in already, okay? Conversational AI, and then ultimately agentic marketplaces. Let's take a very quick look at this, okay? So Concierto brings universal connectivity, as I said. Number two is we use AI to rapidly productize within hours and days your entire data the way you want to see it and the way you're going to consume it. Okay? Real time, zero copy. Concierto doesn't store any of your data. It sits at your source. It only brings the results from queries to generate the insights that you need. On the other hand, if you want to start migrating data and do just the incremental stuff, we can create a copy on the cloud as well, okay? Intelligent caching, that's what we're talking about, and it accelerates future queries and so on and so forth. Governance, as I said, it's at source. Number two, enterprise data marketplace. Each of these cool tiles that you see has a bunch of icons. What those icons are showing business and IT teams, just like a movie title user ratings or a TV show rating, right, is discovery, lineage, okay? You can join two data products and create a super data product and still see the entire lineage, okay? Data quality, usage, and how ready this particular data set is for agentic stuff, okay? Now, this exposes data to users as they want to consume it, but it also tells data teams as to what their target should be. For example, if I have a data quality problem across the enterprise, I don't have to solve it across the board. I can solve it for my high priority data sets to make sure that the results of those are much more accurate, okay? So stuff like that. Now, every company today has invested, large enterprises especially, in some sort of BI capabilities. We're not here to ask companies to replace those and buy yet another tool. Concierto is automatically connected to Tableau and Power BI and AWS QuickSight and so on. But in order to truly help democratize, Concierto also has native Gen BI capabilities, okay? It brings your cost down and it helps everybody in the company truly use data. So this is data democratization in real life. Okay. Concierto is built on the AWS stack. Okay, so Anthropic, Claude, Bedrock, SageMaker, etc. On top of that, we've written thousands of rules which make your queries much more intelligent, much more precise, and very, very fast. And so your business users can essentially come in and start having a conversation with their data. You don't need to create canned reports and keep feeding them every week, every 3 days, whatever the periodicity is, okay? So what the conversational AI piece does for any data set that a user has access to, it automatically reads through what data needs to be read to answer the query and give you quantitative insights, charts, and even decisions that the user needs to make, okay? And then the last piece in this, obviously, is enterprise agentic marketplaces, okay? Now, when we've gotten our applications and our data ready, after seeing the scores and making improvements and so on and so forth, Concierto has a capability where the data teams and the application teams can start designing agents and make those agents available to users to embed in their processes and automate decision making and execution and so on and so forth. Okay? Now, this whole journey starts with a very simple exercise called Dalai, right? Cool name, as in Dalai Lama, right? It's about wisdom. It's about getting informed, getting educated, right? So when you deploy Concierto in your landscape, the platform will generate a report for you covering your data, its demographics, where it is stored physically, virtually, how is it growing, what is the profile of your databases, what exists out there, what goes out, what is end of life, and so on and so forth, what is your provisioning, what is your storage, quality, security, all of this stuff is laid out very neatly. And on top of that, you and our teams will work together to create a scorecard for agentic AI readiness. You give the rules, you add the rules to the rules that are already in the platform, and for each of the data sets, by business function, by data domain, the platform is going to tell you whether or not that data is ready for agentic AI, if not, what needs to be done. Okay? Once all of this is done, we lay it neatly in the form of a report that your business users and your IT leaders can consume, and then we are off and running. But the beauty of this approach is while we are doing the assessment, teams can work together and configure Concierto Insights and Agentic AI for real-world use. So what we begin with is a 90-day exercise in which we take one business unit or one business function, create a template for you for using the platform the way I described, and in parallel we train teams so that this becomes a self-service capability inside the organization, as opposed to data teams needing an SI or some consulting firm to come and do all of this work for you. Okay? So while the leaders are consuming the feedback from the agentic AI and the data assessment that we do, the platform gets ready, and in 90 days you'll be able to turn it on and make it available to your users. The good news in all of these assessments is that they are funded by AWS. Okay? So you do not have to spend a lot of money just to get an assessment done. We and AWS are partnering to fund this for customers and deliver these reports for free. Okay? After that, you can choose to continue if you like it. There's no obligation. You don't have to continue the platform if for whatever reason you don't. Right? So that's the offer that we are bringing to the table for every customer and even partners who want to use this platform, for their end customers as well. Right? I was not supposed to say that, but in the background, if you are truly married to moving your data to the cloud, now that we have decoupled it, Concierto can also migrate your databases, modernize them, and move the data itself to the cloud. Okay? And it can create lakehouses on the fly on cloud-native technology, as opposed to very, very expensive third-party tools. Okay? So that really is the path from getting from data to agentic AI in 90 days. Good? Perfect. Thank you. Exactly 13 seconds, so no time for questions, unfortunately. but Trianz is at booth 1381. There are a number of folks here from Trianz as well. Please stop by and let's have a conversation. Thank you very much.